Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason. Speaking here in my bedroom in the great state of Kansas. And I'm doing a video talking about my favorite cinematic video games, I guess. And what I mean by that is video games that have a interesting story to it, or you're living a movie, or it could be a video game based on a movie, and you're kind of reliving the movie moments in it. And it's just, it has cinematic cutscenes, that's a very big thing now. Just video games where you feel like you're in a movie, or you feel like this could be a movie, that kind of feeling. And so I love video games. I've been playing them since the early 90s. My first console was a Super Nintendo. I played Nintendo with my friends, but I never owned a Nintendo. But I got in Super Nintendo. Man, I love the Super Nintendo. And I had some great games, actually are on my list here. The RPGs, as they call them, the role-playing games. I was a big fan of role-playing games and all kinds of, adventure games like that, where there was this cool story and characters that you get to kind of explore and get to talk to characters as you explore. I love those kind of video games. I did go to Nintendo 64 then in the 90s, and then went to Nintendo GameCube. I did Nintendo. Back in the day, it was like Nintendo or Sega Genesis, and I was a Nintendo person because they had the best characters, I think, around. And yeah, so I had a Nintendo GameCube, I had a Nintendo Wii, and then I went off to get an Xbox 360, and then I currently own a PlayStation 4. So that's as far as I've gotten. I haven't gone to the next level of PlayStation 5, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch. I unfortunately don't have those, so there's obviously some video games that aren't going to be on my list because I haven't had those consoles yet, or being able to play those games. So obviously my list isn't going to be perfect or complete. As I said, though I do like video games and I try to play as much as the popular ones that people talk about. There's a lot of video games I haven't gotten around to. So unfortunately, there's going to be some that are going to miss this list. So I'm going to talk about 20 video games that I've played quite a bit of, and I not only enjoy the story and the cinematic of it, but also enjoy the gameplay as well. These are 20 just absolutely great video games that I have a lot of great memories about. Anyway, so that's where I'm going with this list. And so I just mentioned a couple of video games I haven't played and probably belong on the list. The Last of Us, I haven't played it, but I've watched a lot of people play it. I know what happens in a video game. It's definitely very cinematic. It's a cool story. I'm not really into video games where you're shooting zombies and stuff like that, so I haven't played a lot of zombie games and stuff. And I haven't played any of the Halo games. I'm not into really a lot of the first-person shooter when it comes to Aliens, though I do have one on here, but I haven't played those. Haven't played Horizon Zero Dawn. God of War, I played a little bit of, but I hate the gameplay so much, I quit the game really quickly. Though there's some cool cutscenes and the graphics are amazing. I know it's a popular video game, but I don't know, I just kept dying, so I quit the game. Skyrim, another one I played a little bit of, but I kept dying and I didn't get anywhere, and I quit the game real quick. Though there's kind of a cool, you get to develop your character really, or design. There's design options really cool on there. Mass Effect 3, I've heard is really cool. You get to kind of choose your own adventure kind of on that. BioShock, I know a lot of people love BioShock. I haven't played that game either. And there's a ton of other games you can probably name that I haven't played, unfortunately. So I can hit on some of my favorites here and recommend these video games if you've never played them or don't know them. Or if you do, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Anyway, so going to my list. Number 20, I have Medal of Honor Frontline. This was the first kind of first-person shooter that dealt with war and stuff like that. The only other first-person shooter I really knew before that was, Doom, and of course, I shouldn't say that. There was 007, GoldenEye 007 was the big first-person shooter in Nintendo 64. Medal of Honor Frontline was on Nintendo GameCube that I had. And so, but it's the first one, and it dealt with World War II, which I really, as a history buff, I love that we're in World War II here. I love the World War II first-person shooters are a lot of fun. Getting to replay classic battle scenes and, war-torn Europe, that kind of stuff. But yeah, this was such a cool video game. And you start with, D-Day, you're on a boat, ready to hit the beaches. And man, it just starts off so cinematic. When you're in the boat, you can look around to other faces. You see them, they're pretty upset. You're in for something bad. And even one guy throws up in the boat. And then the guy's talking to you, and then doors open and people get shot in front of you, and you have to get past them, and then it's just, you know, all hell breaks loose, chaos, like you're on the beaches of D-Day. So that was really cool, getting to like relive, like, you know, basically like Saving Private Ryan. Felt like you're in Saving Private Ryan, you're on the beach, and the machine guns are, you know, going at you, and you have to get cover, and you have to get your way to the bunker. Anyways, so a really cool first level to get you really into the game. And then after that, you're kind of on a mission. Story-wise, that's why it's number 20. Maybe not so much story-wise, but just the feel of being in a World War II movie. It felt like you're in a World War II movie in there. It's not as much cutscene heavy as some of the other stuff I have on here. But anyways, but still, I thought it was really cool, the feel of being in World War II. And I love going through like the European cities, you know, and fighting on the streets of Europe. Really fun. And there's, you know, all kinds of levels that you have to go through. Anyways, in a train depot or whatever, you know, all these stuff. Anyway, so yeah, very fun game to get through anyway. So that's why I have number 20, Medal of Honor Frontline. Number 19, I have Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. And another Nintendo GameCube game. Really fun game. Of course, a big fan of Lord of the Rings. And what I put this on the list because you're playing through basically the Lord of the Rings movies. So obviously it's cinematic because you're one of the characters. You have to pick one of three characters, if I remember right: Aragorn, Gimli, or Legolas. So like three characters you get to pick, and you can go through the whole game, you know, with one of those characters, and do it again with the other two. Of course, I went through them several times with all the characters because each character has their own skill set, so it's kind of fun. You know, how you have to go through it with a different character. What makes it so cinematic, though, is that the cutscenes are actual footage from the movie, which I've never seen that before up to that point. Like when we got the Nintendo GameCube and I was watching this, I was like, it's like I'm watching the actual movie. They're showing actual clips from Lord of the Rings, like, you know, as cutscenes. I thought that was really cool. Made you really feel like you're part of the movie. Anyways, and the gameplay is great. I love the gameplay of it all, and getting to play different levels that are in the movies. It was a lot of fun. So yeah, that's why I got Lord of the Rings, Two Towers in here. Number 19. Number 18, I mentioned this video game. I had to put it on here. GoldenEye 007. For Nintendo 64, one of the most popular games for Nintendo 64, and probably the game I spent maybe the most hours playing with my friends, because it's definitely one. It was a game changer when it came to first-person shooters. First one where you're in a movie, you're playing James Bond, which is really cool. And that movie was, of course, it was a new James Bond, you know, Pierce Brosnan and everything. And so they really changed the game, like I said, with this feeling as James Bond, going through the different levels of the movie, kind of. And it was a great first-person shooter. It's one of the best. Like Doom is probably the first-person shooter I ever played, but this was, like, to me, my favorite, because I love first-person shooters where you're going against human beings more than monsters. I don't care as much about, but anyways, and aliens and all that. I'm much more interested in just going against other humans. But what really changed this game, of course, is that you can multiplayer. It's the first time we ever had multiplayer, and you could get three of your friends together. All four of you can fight against each other, shooting each other, and you spend hours and hours shooting each other on the multiplayer. That's what made it really popular. Excuse me. But even playing the video game itself, you know, you did have like little cutscenes maybe, but I guess I put it in there just because it doesn't make you feel like you're in the James Bond movie. So that's why I got here at number 18. And it was just so popular. It's just hard not to put it on here. Number 17, I have Final Fantasy 2. Now, the Final Fantasy series is definitely the most popular series of RPGs throughout some of the different consoles. When I had Super Nintendo, though, I played two of them. I've only known really two Final Fantasies, and they both made my list. So there are some Final Fantasy games I haven't played that I know a lot of people like that maybe should go on the list, but I haven't played them. But anyway, Final Fantasy 2, as it is in the United States, it's called Final Fantasy 4, I think, in Japan or something. But I do love these RPGs, especially these turn-based JRPGs like this one, where, yeah, you definitely have this big story. It's very epic, you know, and your character goes through a lot, and you pick up different characters that you get to play. I love that. That's my favorite part, probably, of Final Fantasy, is that these games, you get to pick up characters, and they all have different skill sets that you have to use in fights. So it's fun strategizing each battle, like what are you going to do with each character in the fight anyway. So that's a lot of fun to do. And this one, characters come and go a lot. Like, characters will come and they'll leave, and new ones will come in. So you don't get to keep a lot of the same characters, except for your main character. And he even has a transformation, going from like a Dark Knight to a Paladin, which is really cool. And there's, his best friend Kane kind of is siding with the bad guy Golbez, and kind of turns against you, and then he becomes friends again. And, so it has all these good story moments, plot moments throughout it. And it's a long game. It takes hours and hours to play, of course. Which is a lot of fun, and you have to build your character. I love that. You have to build, only your your health level goes up. Not only that, but also you got new armor, new weapons also. So I love the going around and having to save money and buy stuff and all that. Yeah, all around is a really fun fantasy RPG game, Final Fantasy 2. And number 17 on my list. Number 16, I have Gears of War 3. This is one first-person shooter what deals with aliens. I'm not into that as much, but I heard so many good things about Gears of War 3. I believe I bought this on Xbox 360. That I thought I'd try it out. It seemed like it was a very cinematic game, and it is, and that's why I actually really enjoyed this game. It's the only Gears of War game I played, but I've heard it's like the best one, so that's why I bought it. And yeah, there's this big story of these aliens that you have to fight, and this mother alien I think you have to defeat at the end. And there's some backstories through the different characters you have. And there's a lot of different characters. And you're basically these soldiers, these big giant soldiers with big guns. And it's got great gameplay value as a first-person shooter, getting to hide and shoot things. And it's got a lot of great stuff like that. One of the best things is that your gun has a chainsaw on it. So if you get close enough to an alien, you can just chainsaw it in half. That's probably the best thing. I love doing that. That's like the most satisfactory kill you get, is chainsawing aliens in half. But what makes this game so great is I think the dialogue is so well written. It's very funny, the dialogue in it. And it's a lot of great banter between the characters, just really great banter. Cutscenes are very great graphics, and a lot of things happening anyway. So yeah, that's what really makes it. I think it has some of the best dialogue cutscenes I've ever seen in a movie or in a video game. And even the non-cut scenes, there's great dialogue between characters. So yeah, very fun game, Gears of War 3, here at number 16 on my list. Number 15, I have Illusion of Gaia. Another Super Nintendo RPG. This is more like Zelda, where it's more not turn-based, but it's more just a hack and slash RPG, where you have a sword and you just slashing opponents, different villains, and I think you have shield maybe and all this stuff. Anyway, but really cool story of this character. You're on kind of this nobody special kind of kid, but yet you have this power to move objects, and so you have like kind of special power, and you have your friends that you hang out with, and then I think maybe your parents or someone gets kidnapped, and you go on this adventure to find them, and your friends are with you, and I think you even have to find them as well. You fall in love with the princess, and you get all these different levels are very fun to play, and yeah, overall a pretty cool story overall, and a very fun video game to get through. So I have Illusions of Gaia here at number 15. Number 14, another great Super Nintendo RPG, one of the best, Zelda: Link to the Past, man. This game is so much fun. I played it recently, like within the last year, and I beat it again, and man, it's still such a fun game to go through. Some of these Super Nintendo's games are still a blast to get through, even with the out of date graphics and all that. But still, I love it. But I remember this was like the first video game I got for Super Nintendo. This and Mario World, like the first two video games I got. And I was a big fan of Zelda already. I love the get the fight with a sword and shield. I love all that. Even on Nintendo, I enjoyed the games. But this was so cool and so cinematic compared to what we had before. It was just, again, total game changer. And there's been a bunch of these I'll talk about, but we had never seen graphics like this before or storytelling like this before in a video game. It was so cool when we first got Zelda: Link to the Past, and your character Link is sleeping in bed, and your uncle gets a sword and shield and says, I stay here, I have to go out," and he goes out. And then you go outside and it's raining. It's like, oh my gosh, it's like raining. It's so cinematic. And you're going to look for your uncle, and then you find your uncle, and he's like dying or something like that. And he says, "Get this, sword and shield, and go save the princess." So you have to go save the princess from the dungeon, and then you have to go like. And there's this evil wizard, Ganondorf, whatever that. And there's a whole backstory behind what he's doing, which is really cool. And then you have to go get the Master Sword, which is cool. That's the big cool name for a sword too, the Master Sword, the big sword that you get. And then you even have to go to like an alternative world, kind of. You have the ability to go to this alternative world, and you have to go through all these temples to get these crystals, whatever, to get to get. Anyway, so it's basic, you always have to collect things and get through things. But I love the objects you get, like the boomerang is the classic one. I love the boomerang, the hook shot, all the, bow and arrow bombs, that. And it was a great kind of almost open world game where you can walk around to different villages, and you would see, and you could find, explore and find things by exploding walls that look like they have cracks in them, and you find different things like that, and also get stuff like you get these flipper shoes from this big fish, and you can swim in the water. So that's really fun thing about the game, is exploring and finding new things throughout. And you also get to upgrade your weapons, and you get different colored outfits and different colored shield and sword, and you find like these fairies that upgrade you and that you give money to. Anyways, all the stuff you can do is so cool. And you explore and get the hearts to get your heart level up, and so many objects like a shovel, and you find objects that you shovel. Anyways, and different mini games and stuff that you play throughout the game. Yeah, still a really blast of a game to play, and satisfying to beat it again. And even the Triforce itself is so cool, and there's like an origin story to the Triforce that you get to at one point. Yeah, love all of it. Still really one of my favorite video games. Zelda: Link to the Past. Number 14, I have Mordor: Shadow of the Empire. And I believe I played this on Xbox 360. This was cool because it's in Middle Earth. It's in the world of Lord of the Rings, but you're playing like a ranger, like a made-up ranger character, and you have this whole mission, and you're basically in you're in Mordor, so you're fighting. There's orcs and goblins and Uruk-hai all over the place, and trolls and all that, and so you're kind of in the midst of the enemy. And so you have to kind of try to sneak around sometimes and try to get to different places. And there's different camps all over this, so there's a lot of area to explore, and all this. And then you have all these missions that you have to complete. But there's a cool story behind it, and you actually don't know who you are, because you're almost like, and there's like this elf character that like is guiding you, I think, or something like that. If I'm trying to remember it right. But as you go on, you start remembering who you are. So that's a cool story element where your character almost has like amnesia, and you kind of learn your past throughout as you meet different characters. Yeah, you meet different characters that help you as well. But I love the orcs, the different orcs. There's different like tribes almost around this Mordor area, and each one has like a captain that's like the leader. And you can go in and kind of challenge the captain to a fight, and each captain has a cool design and a cool name. They come up with some pretty creative names for them, and they talk, and they have funny accents sometimes. And they're pretty tough. Sometimes they're really, really tough, but they have a weakness. You have to try to figure out what the weakness is. And then when you kill either you can kill the captain, or sometimes you scare the captain. If he's almost dying, he'll just run off, and he'll be gone. And then they'll promote somebody else to captain sometimes. But you get you level up when you beat captains, I think, or something like that. That's why you go after the captains. But there's stuff like that throughout the video game. And there's like 3 major villains that you have to defeat, so they're pretty well designed as well. But what's best is the fighting command, the fighting, the way you fight is, I love it, because it's kind of the same fighting style we've seen in like the Batman games and Spider-Man, where you can when an opponent's going to attack you, so you hit this button to block them, and then you can start attacking them back. And so that's how you you can be attacked by like 10 orcs, but you can defeat them because as long as you keep blocking every time someone tries to hit you, you know, you have to just be good at timing the blocks and then, you know, getting on a roll on your, you know, attacks and like that. So very fun overall gameplay as far as the fighting style, and you get different, you know, abilities that help you, and certain enemies are very hard to beat and you have to strategize how to beat them. So yeah, a really, really fun game, and really cool to be in the, you know, Middle Earth, you know, and stuff, and a really cool story overall. So that's why I got Mordor Shadow of Empire here at number 13. Number 12, we're going back to Zelda, and this is The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker for the Nintendo GameCube. Again, I haven't played every Zelda game. I haven't played the two on Nintendo Switch, which I heard are really good, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. And there's like Four Swords, and there's another one that I haven't played. So unfortunately, I haven't gotten through all of the Zelda games. But this was a really fun game on Nintendo GameCube, one of the best on that console. And it's very different. The style is very different. It's very more cartoonish, very more like bright colors. It's very strange. When you first play it, you're like, wow, this isn't, even the design of Link is a little different. I don't know, everything's like a little different from any Zelda video game, so it's a little off-putting at first, but then once you get used to it, man, is it a fun game. And just like all Zelda games, it had such great, the graphics are great, the cutscenes are great, the exploration's great, and I love, again, when you get to new villages and you get to talk and have conversations with the people and you get to learn things about the village, and you might find somebody who has a, you know, a side quest for you to complete, and you get something out of that. Those are always fun to do. But the overall story is really interesting because at first you're just, well, you find the Wind Waker, which is this boat that can talk to you, and it's a Wind Waker. And then that's a cool addition to Zelda we hadn't seen before, where you get in the Wind Waker, or Wind Waker, and you get to sail to different islands. Really cool. And the video game starts with your sister being kidnapped by a giant eagle, and you're trying to find your sister. Anyways, and it's been a while since I played the game, so I'm trying to remember. But of course, it's the usual. You go through different temples, I think, and stuff, and get different items. And there's also this pirate girl that you meet, and she's just like this head of this pirate ship. And then later on, you find out she's like the princess Zelda. But it's like there's a curse that people don't remember who they are, and the boat is actually like the king, but he got turned to a boat. And you find that, anyway, I'm spoiling the video game, but there's some really cool, that's what I love about it. That's why I put it on this list, because there's some great twists in the story there. Like, what? I didn't know that. Like, that's so cool. Like, and because at first it doesn't feel like a regular Zelda game, and then, but later on you find out, oh, there's like a curse, and then Ganon's the bad guy, and he's like, you know, a wizard or something, and you have to, you know, defeat him eventually, and that you're like the legend that is, like, you hear about this, like, you know, what do you call it? You know, there's a legend that will come and save the day, and you're the legend hero that's going to save the day. So it's really cool stuff like that. And the gameplay value, of course, amazing. I think the fighting command, the way you fight and you target, and you know, can dodge attacks, and do like moves to get around people and stab them in the back. You know, lots of great like little techniques that you learn throughout the video game that you have to use against certain opponents that you can't just fight normally. And of course, you got the bow and arrow, and you know, all that stuff. And yeah, it's absolute beautiful looking video game that's a lot of fun to play, and some good storytelling. So yep, Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. Or is it Wind? Yeah, it must be Wind Waker. That's what I have it on at number 12 on my list. Number 11, I'll end here at part 1. Part 2, I'll do my top 10. But number 11, just missing out my top 10, is Portal 2. And now Portal 2, of course, sequel to Portal. At first, it doesn't seem like a cinematic game, because it's really a game where you have a portal gun and you get put through these puzzles, and you have to use a portal gun to get through these puzzles, and they get challenging as you go. But there's actually a really cool story to the and good plot twists and everything throughout this. That's so fun. And this is, I think, the funniest video game I've ever played. Like, I laughed so hard playing this. First, you're the same character, I guess, from the first video game. If you don't know the first video game, you're in this science facility, and like underground, and there's this robot, AI, computer thing that is putting you through these puzzles that you have to use. But then at the end, it tries to kill you, and you have to defeat this robot, whatever. And then the second one, you start out and like you've been asleep for like sleep for too long, and this robot comes, played by Stephen Merchant. He comes. He's this little ball that comes into your room and wakes you up because like, oh no, and everybody else is gone, and you're like the only one there, and he's trying to help you out. And it is the funniest character ever. Steve Merchant is so funny of an actor, and the dialogue is so funny. Oh my gosh, it's some of the best stuff I've ever seen. And so then you go through and you get the portal gun and everything, but then you end up trying to like restart the facility, I think, and you end up waking up the villain from the first video game, and they want revenge, so they get you and they put you through these puzzles yet again. And Steve Merchant character is trying to help you out and trying to kind of save you. Eventually, you do get kind of rescued from these endless like puzzles that you get put through. And I'm gonna spoil the game, but it's so I love about the video game is the twist in it. And the twist is you finally defeat, about midway through maybe, you defeat the villainous robot that you defeated the first game. You defeat it, but you have to put something else in its place. So you put the Stephen Merchant robot in its place. Now the Stephen Merchant robot is now in control of the facility. And you're thinking, oh good, now I have a friend that's gonna help me escape this facility. And at first he's going to help you escape, but then he gets so power hungry that he decides not to let you escape, and he becomes the villain, the main villain of the video game. What a amazing twist that you don't see coming. You're like, what? The guy that's your funny friend throughout is now the guy the robot trying to kill you. Yeah, amazing twist. Still some great dialogue. What I love about it is what I do when I play it is when a character starts saying something, I won't do it. I'll just stand there, and the character will go through like 5 or 6 lines, before it starts repeating itself. And each line is funnier than the next. So I just love just sitting there and letting a character say funny line after funny line until they don't have any more dialogue that they're given. And then I move on to the next scene. That's one of my favorite parts of the video game. But then you actually kind of, the robot that was a villain, the computer AI robot, whatever, you actually rescue it, and it becomes kind of your friend, or it kind of helps you along. And you find out that the robot actually used to be a human being that used to work for the facility. Oh, what a great plot twist that you're like, what? I thought it was just some evil AI robot, but no, it used to be a human being that put a guy's consciousness like put into this robot. It was such a great reveal. That's why I put it here, because that's some great cinematic stuff, great plot twist, some of the best I've ever seen in a video game. So I was like, wow, not just a puzzle game, actually has a really interesting story behind it. And even as later in the video game, you actually find out more about the guy who started the facility. I think his name's Cave Johnson, and he's voiced by J.K. Simmons, who's absolutely hilarious as Cave Johnson. You find these recordings from the past that he evidently did these, logs, logging stuff that's happening, and you find them later in the video game, and you listen to them, and they're absolutely hilarious. J.K. Simmons is so funny as Cave Johnson, and you hear these, absolutely crazy things that are happening in the facility through him, and some funny quotes that anyways, you have to look it up maybe on YouTube and see some of it. It's absolutely hilarious, the stuff that's in this video game. And yeah, the gameplay is just amazing. The whole puzzle, I can't explain exactly, but you use a portal gun to get through these puzzles, and some of them are really, really difficult, take a long time to get through. So the challenge is really good in the video game. Overall playing is really cool. And it's such a funny game that has such a really great story, and the ending is amazing. You get the song, the villain, the one robot that was the villain sings this song that's really funny at the end. And really catchy. When I heard it, I was like, wow, this song's amazing. I gotta get this song on Spotify. This is such a fun song. And there's a really cool song at the end of the first Portal game as well. I'm trying to think of who wrote that. A singer-songwriter named Jonathan Colton. I had to look it up. Very funny singer-songwriter, writes the ending song called something like "I Only Want You Gone." A hilarious song, really catchy. And he sings one he has the robot sing one at the end of the first as well. So yeah, overall, just one of the funnest games I've ever played through. Really, this is my top 10, but they're all bangers in my top 10. It's hard to get in my top 10. This is still one of my favorite video games of all time. Portal 2 here at number 11. So I'll end it there. That's my 20 through 11, and later I get to my 10 through 1 of my favorite cinematic video games I've ever played. So feel free to comment what are some cinematic video games that you love, that you felt like, you know, could be a movie or you were in a movie. For anybody who's video game players, myself, I know a couple of you are that are subscribed to me. So besides that, thanks so much for watching this video. Thank you for liking it. Thank you to all my subscribers for supporting the channel. I appreciate you all, and I hope you have a good day.